Hello, my Zentangle friends. This is Barbara Langston, CZT, Certified Zentangle Teacher. Welcome to Not Perfect Zen. And today I always like to start with a gratitude. And I am grateful that both of my children are doing better. They're adults doing better from COVID, and that the grandchildren did not get it. Very grateful for that, and very grateful that I also did not get it. So this is going to be a follow-up to the last video that I did, where I did this tile called window grills. And I mentioned during the video that I had goofed on it because these should all be pointing in, and this one, whoop, right here, I didn't do just right, and it's fine. But because I mentioned that I could do some transending on this tile, a couple of people said yes, they would love to see that. So let me show you first. I kind of redid the pattern. This is a big mess, but this is called testing. Okay, so I tested using white jelly roll pen over the other one, gold, different colored jelly roll, using just the white chalk and using markers. And I'm not sure that I liked any of those, but this is closest to what I've done on some other tiles. And the problem is the black. It's a little bit more difficult to get a second layer of pattern on a black tile than it is on a white tile. But basically, all I did on this one was I used a fat tipped pen and drew hollow ball on here. And then I did a little bit of white on the outside of each of these. And then on the inside, I used some of my pastel chalk pencils to add some color. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is like this. So I had fun going through my old tiles and picking stuff out that I could play with. This one has the pattern Trellis, T-R-E-L-I-S, by N.E. Oken on the back with some henna drum. And the top layer is a version of membranart. Okay, M-E-B-R-A-N-A-R-T by Tomas Padros, and he is a certified Zentangle teacher. So I got a lot of inspiration by looking online and in the Zentangle Mosaic app. Here's one that I did some time ago. The initial pattern on the bottom, I don't have this on here, is called In Motion, I believe. So I did the bottom one in white, and then on top of it, I drew some other patterns. So there's an idea of what you can do. This one, I did sort of a version of printemps here on the top of this one. I did nice thick lines on the outside. I did white jelly roll and white chalk on the outside. So there's an idea. And I am going to start, I think, by showing you just a simple way to do transending on any tile. And of course, you need to have a bottom layer. Let me say, first of all, that this has a layer of watercolor, okay, on the bottom. My second layer is the white jelly roll pattern. And then my third layer is the black with Muka and Zinger. And this is Ayame, I believe. They're in the center. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but let me show you what I'm going to use today. If you have, for these thick lines like this, if you have a graphic one, that works really well for those big lines. You could use an Identa pen, which is also by Sakura. It is permanent, and you could put watercolor over it just like you can with the other Sakura pens. And it has a thick end and a thin tip. So that's one you could use. If you don't have either one of those and you have a micron, that will work. And then I'm going to use graphite pencil, a General's pastel chalk pencil. I'm going to use the white chalk pencil, and then I'll be using a couple of different graphite. I'm sorry, I can't think. I'll be using the blending stumps. Thank you. Sorry. I'm trying to get too much information out too fast. Okay, so one of the easiest ways to do transending on a tile like this is to start with just some black lines. You could make a big pattern that goes out. Just a very simple bunch of lines is the easiest way to do it. So let's just start here. And I'm just going to make a line that goes all the way across. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of bar that and just keep going on this tile. Hopefully you can see the pattern that's emerging. And let's go across that one. Okay, so we have there, one here, one there, and one here. Excuse me. So the next thing I'm going to do is, actually, I should have mentioned having a jelly roll. On this one, I think that's going to work. So this is a jelly roll 10. So on one side of that line that I just drew, and on the back of this, I'm just going to make sure my pen is working. I am going to, let's go on this side, follow that black line right next to it, and just do a white line. Okay, move up to the next one and do the same thing. And we're going to do white chalk right next to this, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But it does kind of emphasize it. I'm going to have this go all the way off, I think. Next. Okay. And trying to be very careful. I probably should have started that way and gone the other direction so that I don't get my hand in that wet jelly roll. I'm just going to try to keep my hand up off the tile, which means it didn't get right next to it, but I could always fill that in with more black. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one all the way out. So there you have the basic start to the Tranzending. The next thing I'm going to do is with my graphite pencil. And again, I'm trying to keep my hand up off the tile. And I'm trying to keep my hand back so that the camera focuses on the tile and not on my fingers. And I do apologize that sometimes I forget to be mindful of that. And I appreciate when I get comments that remind me that things are getting kind of blurry. I do understand that some people use better cameras that can lock the focus on the tile, but I'm using my iPhone camera. And when you're using that camera as a login to this Zoom meeting, which is what I do, then you can't lock the focus on the camera. Anyway, apologies. I'm trying to do better. Okay, so I'm just adding graphite right next to that initial dark line, going all the way out. And I did, like I said, a lot of looking around on Facebook and on Instagram. And what I looked for was Tranzending. So the hashtag Tranzending. And I got a lot of ideas from that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my white chalk pencil, and I do have it sharpened. And now I'm going to come on this side and just put a light line along here. And like I said, this is just the easiest way to do the Tranzending. Okay. Plus, I had fun going through all of my old tiles. I have a box where I keep them. I have different ways of storing my tiles. And my first Zentangle teacher was Victoria Macmillan, and she always told me, do not throw your tiles away. And this is one of the reasons to hang on to your tiles. Not only do you learn from what you think is a past mistake, but you could use them for something like this. So I'm just softening the graphite on this side. You can see it a lot better on the screen than you can on my actual tile. Excuse me. And now I have a blending stump that I have marked just for white. So now I'm going to just soften the white chalk. Sorry, my camera is wiggling. Trying to move it a little bit so that it doesn't do that. I try to keep my camera set up so that it's not attached to my desk, but it was a little bit too close this time. All right. So not, yeah, not wonderful, but it's okay. For the places where you can no longer see the black because of the graphite and the white, you can go back over that first line. And that's what Maria calls redefine the line. Okay, so let's bring this down a little bit. There you go. That's the easiest way to do the transending on an old tile. You can still see most of the pattern. You could with, I'll go ahead and show you, get a different color out. Sorry, okay. So let me show you what would happen if you put some color on here instead of just using the white. Helps it to show up a little more. Let's do every other one with this blue. And this one is a Stabilo pastel pencil. Now I have a blue. And I'm just going to pull that out a little bit more than I did originally. Whoop. Just play with it. That's what I did on all those first tiles that I showed you. So if you add a little bit more of the chalk, you get a little bit different effect. This one is more of a magenta color, is that right? So let's put that on these other two lines and see what we think. I could not find the first tile that I did. I have it on Instagram, and it's a black Zentangle that I did this to, but I have the picture of it, but I don't have the actual tile to show you. Okay, so now let's smooth this one out a little bit. So it gives you a little bit more color. And then you could even come back to these corners and add some color to tie it all in. All right. So the next one I want to show you is this one. This is the pattern Pangea, done big and fat with bigger space between. This was a tile that I did in March of last year, and the pattern on the bottom is just Tripoli. And then I put the big Pangea over it with a nice fat tip, and I'm pretty sure on that one that I used an Identi-Pen. And these do come in different colors, so that's really cool. And then I put the graphite pencil on the outside, well, right on the inside of the Pangea pattern. And then for the space in between, I used a different color of a graphite pencil. And then the last one that I want to show you is one that I did this morning. And this is an old tile that I pulled out. So it has a layer of color on the bottom, and then it has the pattern Jokey. No, wait. The main pattern on the bottom is Zen Wheel. Okay, so this is Zen Wheel, and I'll show you another practice piece that I have. So that's what that one started out to be. On the bottom is Zen Wheel, and I have a few of these, and that's Jokey. Okay, and I didn't even notice that until I was finished with this tile, but I saw on Instagram this lady at her, it's ALEFUND on Instagram, and I don't have her name, but she had done one similar to this where she did Jokey on top. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. This is just an old tile that I did. I don't have the date on it. It's got color, watercolor on the bottom, and then these patterns on top. And I believe that one's called Q-Bell. And I can't remember this one. I'll try to remember to put it in the description, but I'm not teaching these patterns. I'm just teaching how to do the Tranzending on top. Now, I'm going to use my graphic one on this one. And the pattern Jokey, like I said, it just looks very much like this. And you can see it here. So we're going to start with making that spiral. And I'm just going to pick a place to start. That's always my problems. Where do I begin? Let's just come over from this side. Okay, so I'm going to come up and make my spiral. Trying to make it thick, kind of even. All right, so there's the bottom part of that. And now we're going to do the rest of Jokey. We're going to start by trying to keep my hand out of the way. We're just going to make an aura that comes up and comes back down and meets here at the bottom. And then we're just going to continue with that. And these are called anchored or tethered auras. And I'm just going to keep bringing that down. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So that's how I started that one. And now I'm going to get my graphite pencil and I'm going to stay on the outside of that dark line that I just did. Sorry, I have tiles everywhere. And I'm just going to start laying down a good amount, a heavy amount of graphite, staying on that same side. So I'm turning my Zentangle. This is something that I cut out of watercolor paper. Okay. Going to my next petal. And this works really well on just plain white tiles where you've done just the pattern with a black pen as the tile that you're going to start with. I went through a lot of tiles and looked for those that didn't have a lot of extra color on them, hoping that this would work well. Again, it's always an experiment, but I had fun with this, so that's why you see that I had so many to show you. I enjoyed doing it, and I like sharing that with you. I have not done any live Zoom classes with friends in a long time. I need to do something like that again. Okay, so now on the inside, I'm going to use my white graphite pencil. I'm not going to use the jelly roll pen. I'm sorry, white chalk. I'm not going to use the jelly roll. I'm just going to put the white on the other side of that black line now. Again, turning your tile. Keep your hand comfortable. And we will probably come back and go over that black line again, just so it looks better. Kind of hard to keep my hand out of the way with these short pencils. And I'm putting down a pretty good amount of the white also. It doesn't look as bright on my actual tile as it does on the screen. But I will come back with the blending stump and blend both of these in. And I'm just putting it on the inside of these auras. All right, so now I'm getting my two blending stumps, one for the black, one for the white. And we're just going to soften out. It gives it like some height, like this is floating above the original pattern. And I didn't do a lot of shading on that first one. Sometimes I do these just to see how patterns fit together. And I enjoy doing the same pattern again and again because to me, it's good practice. You get muscle memory from it, and it's very soothing. To me, it's a meditation. A lot on there. But I want this to be my focus now. right, now I'm going to use my white and soften that. Just a little bit. And for me, this does take a little focus, so I'm not talking that much. I will say again, I'm very grateful that none of my family ended up in the hospital with COVID. Even though 2 of them were not vaccinated, they got mild enough cases that they could stay at home. And my sister and I are both seniors. And very fortunate to have not gotten a case of COVID out of this. Okay. Kind of hesitant to brush my hand across it. I'm just going to get a paintbrush and just go across it to get some of that loose graphite and chalk off of there. So that is similar to that one. And let's go ahead and go over our initial line with my graphic one. Just going to try to stay right on top of that initial pattern line that I put down. So I'm taking my time. When you put graphite right on top of where you've drawn with either a micron or with Identi-Pen, you can lose that line. All right, here we go. Another way to do transending. Okay, I was trying to put that out at a distance, so now we can look at some of our options. And then here's the first one that we did. And this one, which is membrane art. And that one. It's a lot of ideas. Let me know if you have any questions. And hopefully this was helpful to you. And I hope that you'll try it and just have fun and post your pictures. Tag me if you do. I'd appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you have a great week. And there's a weekend coming up. Hope that's awesome for you also. And I will talk to you later. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you have not. And if you're so inclined, I'm very grateful for your support through the coffee.com link in the description below. Thank you. Bye.